to get on board.
Is it still daylight?
All right.
We're moving out in the park. We had a meeting with the
So you got my email.
Yes, thank you very much for that
Okay.
connection. So I will make
couple
that
days ago.
fully this week, and I think it's a very good one.
Okay.
I think everybody's connected.
Yes, well, what I was thinking, I was just reading the email and had remembered your comments from
Look at the.
our last meeting about how people are just voluntarily
Yeah, and then
picking
the
up
Harbor
trash
View
at
thing
the
is
beach.
just the,
And,
To me, that's like
you know, Surfrider is a national organization, but they have, as you know, the Delaware chapter, and they sponsor,
so.
you know, the beach
Ray,
cleanups, but
I was
I like the
telling
fact that they
Marty
do a
that
April is
Sussex
solo
Tree is
cleanup
coming
month.
tomorrow to look
go
at
out
the
and just,
hollies.
You know, on your own, just, if you're walking your dog on the beach,
Yeah,
you know,
yep, I will.
pick something up.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Well,
a
evidently,
very nice idea to
we're
know
gonna replace that with another memorial.
for many years, we did adopt a beach cleanup
That's what he
from the
did.
Henlopers Hotel to the Avenue.
That is, that's family.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that, okay.
so we would get,
What organization was this?
well, this was when I worked at Galvin.
Oh, right,
Just
okay.
volunteered through the state,
I see.
and that was our adopt beach. And so we did it in spring and fall, and we could easily collect 50 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to count everything for Denrex. You know,
Yeah,
you
they
have to
keep,
count
right,
it.
right.
And we would find everything from bullet casings,
Oh, we got
and
Yeah.
30 seconds. Yep.
thousands of cigarettes. And it's such a pleasure to not have that. They needed some.
It's not as
Okay,
bad.
I have,
It's
I have 6:30, so Judy might be with us on Zoom. So we'll call the meeting to order. This is at 6:30, Monday, March 21st. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Warren Goldie is excused for this month. He is abroad, he's traveling. And I just wanted to
Recording in progress.
mention that the tulip celebration will start April 1st. So get out there and enjoy the beautiful tulips that Lewis and Bloom has so graciously and with lots of toil and sweat planted for us. So anybody has anything else to?
Correct. Our next meeting.
Yep, our next meeting for April will be pardon?
It is on.
Yep, it will be on April 18th, Monday, April 18th at 6:30. It's the day after Easter. So.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Recording stopped? Okay. So if we can move to our first item of business, B1 is approval of the minutes from our February 28th, 2022 meeting. Everybody had an opportunity to review those. Are there any corrections, comments?
I had one question about how the meetings are done. On page 4, item 2, in the discussion about the draft mission statement for GHP Smith Park, I noticed that we do not have the draft mission statement wording in here, but we do have the wording of the sign on Blockhouse, at Blockhouse Pond that we discussed. To me, it would be helpful if they were both spelled out there, but I don't know if that's not the normal way you do minutes, or just a question.
Well, it was up as an attachment on the screen. We can hold approval of these, and I can talk to Jackie. I don't know. Is Jackie on? Yeah, could you just allow her to talk so we can ask about?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Were you able to hear Marty's question regarding the page 4, item 2? regarding the mission statement for George Smith Park.
Is it about what Christine said about the different wording?
Approval of
of
these,
the
and we can
sign?
talk to Jackie, I don't know.
Yeah,
Is Jackie, is Jackie on?
Yes,
No, I think there's a.
yes,
I know.
Yeah, could you just allow her to talk so we can
There's a
ask-
delay.
yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
Were you able to hear Marty's question?
I didn't know I was gonna cause such technical.
Okay, are we good? Okay. Jackie, can you hear us?
Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you.
So the question was, would the actual wording of the mission statement be included in the minutes? Because I don't recall, I think it was read into.
Is it red?
It was read, right, and it was put up on the Zoom so that people could see it. Would that normally be included in minutes or no?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't really recall. I just remember Christine saying about the sign, disagreed with the wording of the sign. And I think I put that in there. But just tell me what you want me to add.
Well, I tend to think that we're okay, because it was added to the agenda, it was read in, it was read, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
Just- Right, right. I think Marty's question is just, since
make
it
it easier to
was
read.
voted on and approved, should it be in there as?
You can't put everything in the attachments in the minutes. I know
Okay.
that, but-
Thanks,
Oh, no
Jackie.
Okay, well, while I'm speaking, can I ask for one request?
Sure.
If I could ask Harry to speak into the microphone? I had a hard time last month. If I could just ask him today to speak into his microphone, that would
Okay.
help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you have to, they're very sensitive, so you do have to speak right into them. Okay. All right, so is there?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Is there any other discussion regarding the minutes? Is there a motion to approve? Candace, is there a second? Ed? Harry? I saw Harry's hand and said Ed. Harry is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So we'll move into item C1, the commissioners' reports. And I will just go around the room, and I'm going to pick on Barry first because he was down in Florida for the past.
Couple months.
Well, welcome back.
A lot of public art in West Palm Beach, but a percentage of the development money must go into public art. So if you have a $2 million project, X amount must either be given to the city or that developer needs to spend that much money on public art. So they have built-in funding, and there's murals and public art all over the place. Just as a FYI, I thought it was interesting. One change on the projects, we have 3 different artists that we're working with: Letha Wilson, Rose DeSano, and Vivian Collins. The Letha Wilson was originally going to go in Smith Park, and now it's going to go into Canal Front Park because we had issues with right away, and it just got too complicated. And so, therefore, we'll have 2 artists in one of our biggest parks, the Smith Park. One at really one end of the park, way back in the back. The Letha Wilson one will be, and that's metal and kind of photographs on it. That'll be back where the colored bottles were. And I just can't remember
Is, Barry, that's the one that has the leaves on it?
Yes,
I
correct.
thought that was going in Canal Front Park.
I'm mixing it up too.
It's
Yeah,
the Scorts.
You're right.
Yeah, it's going in Canal Front Park.
Yes, you're right.
Right, okay. Okay.
Thank you for correcting me. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
You've been
Too much
away,
sun.
son,
Too much
yeah.
sun.
No vacation.
No jet lag, though.
No.
You can't use that as an excuse.
And then we'll have the other two in Smith Park.
Okay.
So, really no change. The contracts, I think, have all been sent out and signed, and I think we have them all back, or nearly all back. So we're on our way. We have worked on site arrangements for site preparation, concrete pads, and that kind of thing. So
Okay.
we're in good shape in that regard.
All right. And Great Marsh Park?
Well, we're excited. Last meeting, we told you that we had selected a landscape design firm to work with us. We sent an RFP out, got 3 proposals. One was substantially lower, and we felt that they could do just as good a job as the other 2. I think some of the other 2 were doing a little bit more than we really needed to have done in terms of analysis and environmental impact information. So we're excited to be working with Pernoni, and they've worked with this city before, and we've also worked with this particular individual, Eric Wall. We just had a meeting on last week on Thursday, and Rodney and myself and Janet met with Eric Wall and told him basically what we were looking for, cleared up any issues that he had. Basically, he's going to be starting right away, and his first job will be kind of do a survey of the site, and that's what he'll be working on. Not only survey, say a park survey, but also looking at the flora and fauna that's there, what could be removed, what needs to stay, and those kinds of things. And we're also, Rodney and I are going to meet with him out on the site, and I don't remember what date that was, but
It's Tuesday, March 29th at 9 o'clock
okay, there you go.
that we're doing, right?
I think Marty should go with this.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
That'd be great.
So,
And that's all I have to report. I'm excited that we're finally getting started on this. To me, Great Marsh Park is our largest resource, 66 and a half acres. And to me, in my mind, it's kind of like going to be the central park of Lewis, because it is the biggest piece of land that we own. So it's going to be an exciting project. There's going to be lots of public meetings. There's going to be lots of information that we're going to share with this group, and we're going to ask for your weigh-in, your buy-in, your ideas as we go through the process. We hope to have the process done and complete by the end of October, and have a report from them by then.
When you say the process, what do you mean,
The planning process. The end process is to have a master plan.
Okay.
So that plan should be complete by that time.
right.
The
So-
development, that's another whole
Right,
issue.
right. So it's just getting the master plan hammered out, and then the implementation, depending on what we come up with, would probably be,
It could be
phased in.
in, 2 or 3 different phases, depending on how extensive the plan is and how many elements and how many things that we want to include.
Any other questions for Barry?
I just, do you have timeline for the art pieces in the park?
when the installation will be, approximately.
I can get it for you.
Okay.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'd probably find it, but I can either get it or get it from Cliff.
Thank you, thanks. Harry and Ed, George Smith Park. Thank you, Harry. Jackie thanks you.
Ed and I are hosting, as the commissioners of George Smith Park are hosting Juneteenth, which has been consuming a lot of meetings, a lot of time, and we have joyously embraced this. The last meeting we had, we did a walk around where we took measurements to plan where everything was going to go. Ed's even going to make a scale model drawing for us. But it was great because we met with the African Heritage Commission, and really had a lot of ideas come forward. And we're even going to have a parade.
Oh,
And that's.
yeah, I would need to know that.
We thought we'd let you know the day of.
Well, that would be a good idea.
I'll be out of town that day.
No, this is all in the planning stages right now. We don't need to talk about it. But besides that, Ed and I have walked around the park and made lists of what we want to do. We're still waiting to get the budget clearance for this year, and so we'll move forward on a lot of things once we get our budget okay. So that's what we've done.
Okay, great, thank you. Ed's not going to speak.
I can. Well, I'm anticipating the growth of probably some poison hemlock. I don't see any traces of it yet. Nothing's
Okay.
sprouting, but it's probably any day. So
Where is that in the park?
it's scattered around everywhere, but it's right at the water's edge, right at the transition to the land and water. It likes that. And
Anywhere near the walkway.
no, but but people were cutting it last year because it's pretty, or it can be viewed as pretty. So it's going to be a 4 or 5 year process that we have to be vigilant.
Oh, I didn't realize, I thought once you guys.
Yeah, no, the seeds last are viable for 4 or 5 years, and it's going to be a. So just to everybody be aware of, but
Just a thought about location. It likes sun. So it is in the park where we have our sunniest spots. But it is truly on the edge of the water.
Okay.
The only people that might brush up would be the fishermen who go through that edge and hang over the edge to fish. But last year, thanks to a couple alert neighbors, we were able to get our people in there quickly and acted quickly. So we were very pleased with the result. The plants were killed. There's no doubt about that. But it took a week or two to get that all in gear. This year, we do have the jump on it rather than it having the jump on us.
Yeah, I would say as soon as you see it, let me know, and I'll call the company to come in.
I'll do it just like I did last year.
Okay,
Just like I did last year, I'll identify it,
Right.
paint it,
okay,
and we'll be vigilant, so.
thank you. Okay. Yes, come on up, Trina.
I just wanted to
If you-
clarify.
if you could
Trina
just-
Brown Hicks, 504 DuPont Avenue,
Thank
Lost
you.
African American Heritage Commission. I just wanted to clarify the parade is an unintended consequence. Because we were probably going to have to stage the vendors So we may have to stage them at a certain location, and then they have to come through town anyway. So, but to come to the park, so that's kind
So
of
it's a
how it
different-
ended up.
It's a different kind of parade.
We're not going to be marching
Yeah.
or anything, or anything like that.
Well,
It's a logistical parade.
Yes.
Okay.
Logistical.
but
Thank you, Trina, because I think they
I know your
wanted,
heart went.
I think they wanted to get a reaction out of me.
we do.
Trina, I know you've been talking to the
One of the
farmer's
things,
market.
one of the things that precipitated the parade part were not the vendors, because the vendors will probably they'll be staged and come in early. But there's going to be an auto show and a motorcycle show. And they will be coming in they'll be paraded, we hope. We're going
Okay.
to work with the police on that.
Oh, yeah, we'll circle back around, yeah.
So-
Okay,
so-
thank you, Trina.
So Trina, I know you've been talking to the farmer's market about, and they're gonna do something for Juneteenth, but as you know, they have a parade like this every Saturday morning where they line up all the vendors coming in Saturday morning, and they have it figured out pretty well, so. I don't know if you're talking to them about logistics, but they have a good handle on it.
I'm gonna let them handle that part with that.
Okay.
But yeah, because we had a couple car clubs said that they wanted to participate, so we figure because of everything that's already going on in the park, we may need to just make sure it doesn't become a nightmare. So
Just stay away from my little trees at that.
That's
all I'm asking.
The farmer's market just holds their vehicles from coming in until a certain time, so it forms a parade. This will be a staged parade, so that we will be able to bring everybody in at once, but our biggest.
Could we call it a caravan?
Sure, we can call anything you want.
It is not a parade.
The-
It is a
the
logistical,
connotation
it's a
is very
logistical
different.
movement of vehicles.
Right, thank you, Ed.
So when we have the parade, the whole reason we're staging is because the farmer's market will be exiting. So what we're trying to do is be able to get one group out safely and another group in safely so that the paths don't cross. So the staging is important for that reason, because we don't want everybody just coming in laissez-faire.
Okay, thank you. We'll get up with Chief.
There'll be more to come. I've got the logistical end,
Okay.
and you'll be presented via them, detailed logistics plan.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Is there, dare I ask, is there any questions or comments for? Thank you. Ray, could you report on Zwannendale Park?
Okay, I'll do the garden. Should I do the garden first or Zwannendale?
Sure.
Okay,
Yep.
so the Lewis Community Garden started its 4th season. First orientation meeting was last week. Though the garden expanded with a new fence, there'll still be 48 beds this year. There'll be 33 gardeners. We have 4 new gardeners, and we had also another 5 gardeners that did not make the lottery to come in, and they graciously will be volunteers in the garden. The garden, again, is committed to organic gardening, committed also to provide harvest donations to the CRC, committed to be an educational outlet to the community about organic gardening, and also the most important thing is to develop a strategic plan, both short-term and long-term, for the garden, in conjunction to what when the master plan for Great Marsh comes out. For Zwannendale Park, we will have Sussex Tree will be in to do the estimate for the holly removal next to the shed tomorrow. Lewis and Bloom will have a cleanup day on March 30th. The park looks great. I drove by it on the way up today. It looks great in anticipation of the Tulip Festival. We were going to have Envirotech is going to come out and look at the fountain to see if we can eliminate the leaking of the fountain. The new post light will be put in at the end of the herb garden as soon as we can get that scheduled, but we have to schedule that around the digging up of the sewer line that needs to happen, so that's got to be, once that happens, then we can probably look forward to getting that new light post installed. And there's just some Lewis and Bloom, I met with them, and they're looking at, instead of having tulips in a place where they don't do very well, is maybe to have a perennial garden for next year. So we'll talk about that once again the budget comes out, and we'll take a look at the budget and we'll see how that might work. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ray? Okay, Rodney, Canal Front Park?
Yes, Canal Front Park. The board is meeting tomorrow morning at 10:30, so this is a kind of a stale report. But I think what they're going to talk about is the temporary artwork, the pieces coming in. The Friends group has very graciously offered to pay for the concrete pad that it's going to have to sit on, which is, I don't know, probably $1,000, $2,000 or something like that, because they're all for temporary temporary artwork in the park and whatever can bring people in, really. So they're very supportive of that, and they're very supportive of the book walk that's being planned, and that's through the library.
Yes, it's the teen librarian in the Roots and Shoots program.
So it's
I'm sorry, it's not Roots and Shoots. I'm
no,
sorry.
it's not Roots and Shoots.
Book walk is the children's librarian.
Yeah. And it's a series of colored artwork panels that are in a sequence so children can
It's an entire book,
walk.
actually,
Yeah.
where they get to read the book and talk about the book and walk through the park and enjoy the
Right.
park, yeah.
It's very similar to the one that's out here, the story walk.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a temporary installation. How long will it be there?
It will go in, she's talking about putting it in the weekend of Easter, so she wanted it in before Easter so that when they're doing the Easter egg hunt in
Right.
the park, all of those children will be able to enjoy that as well. And then it will come out at the end of May, because she does need those frames to do the story walk here in Stango Park. And the book is entitled Lightship, so it's going to be right around in the area of the park near, really most of it's on the Overfalls property, but some of it does come into Canal Front Park, so it's really a nice collaboration.
Yes, yeah. Well, anything to get more people into the park, and they are planning to have an Easter egg hunt. And it's all free. They don't charge for anything ever that's in the park that they organize. So that's a good thing. And I heard that the Easter Bunny is arriving by boat. So it might be worth going down and watching that. So anyway, they're moving along with their summer plans. So.
I will mention too, speaking of the Easter egg hunt, Dave Shook stopped by City Hall last week, and they're going to plan some other activities or additional activities beside the Easter egg hunt, and asked to have for like 10 to 12 to close the tennis and basketball courts, so because they're going to do some little tennis activities with the children that are interested in that. So we'll get that out there on the website and down at the tennis courts. It's just for about 2.5 hours. So
That's it.
thank you. Marty, our tree program.
Tree program. I am pleased to report that the Arbor Day Foundation has made the city of Lewis a tree city for the 21st year in a row. That's for the year 2021, and that's based on a whole list of criteria, including how much we spend on our tree program and having this board to oversee our trees in our city and protect them, and several other factors. We have submitted the application for a grant to cover the Council Grove to go into George H.P. Smith Park. That was submitted to the Urban and Community Forestry Program with Delaware. We expect to hear, I think it's either later this month or sometime in April.
I think last year it was early April.
Early April, I
Yep.
think that's probably what it'll be. And I've continued to do light pruning, tree tag maintenance, arbor scope updating, inspections. In the course of my inspections, I've found that we have quite a few crepe myrtles with scale on them. Used to be crepe myrtles were pretty much totally press-free, but scale has come in from other parts of the country. And so we're gonna meet with the arborist and see if we can get that treated pretty soon. I've actually seen two different kinds of scale. One is crepe myrtle scale is what they call it, that it's very small, it's white, it's about the size of maybe a third of a grade of rice. It's really tiny. And, but if you leave it on there and don't treat it, it can seriously damage the tree. I think it could even kill it if you let it go too far.
What do you treat it with?
I don't know what chemicals they use precisely, but
Probably dormant oil, and it should be this time of year.
some scales are treated with dormant oil. I don't know if that's what they'll do. Horticultural oil. I don't know if that's what they'll do with this, but I'm hopeful it's something like that. That's what I hope. There's also another kind of scale that I found on a round scale, and I don't know what that is. I have to find out. But anyway, anybody who has a crepe myrtle, take a good look at it.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. 'cause
Yeah,
I have several.
yeah. I think we'll find out from the arborist when we meet with them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's not on all the crepe myrtles, but we'll probably end up getting a good number of them treated because they're on the same street as the infested ones, so might have to treat them all. We'll see how it goes. That's it.
That's tomorrow, right? Yeah,
That's Wednesday,
Wednesday.
right?
Yes, I have something else tomorrow. You're right. Yes. All right. Thank you, Marty.
Stango Park. We met with the new patrons from Lewis and Bloom, and Liz Clemens and Sue Carroll will be taking care of the front of the library for Lewis and Bloom, planting all the annuals. And we had a nice discussion with them, and we welcome them to come and make our park beautiful, as it always does. And other than that, I think we already mentioned that, Patrick Olson came and did all of his spring cleanup and mulching, and the parks always look really wonderful when he's done. They did a great job this year, as always. And that's all I have. I think Candace had a few things, one thing.
On March 14th, the Lewis Public Library briefed Mayor and City Council about a pavilion project that they are planning for the piece of real estate immediately behind the library, between the library and the city parcel, the .77 acres. And they provided a preliminary report on the draft plans for this. The project has received funding, ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act funding, so the funding will come through the state of Delaware to the Lewis Public Library for this project. And the plans are to coordinate very closely with members of City Council as well as this commission. And so the library invited the mayor to appoint a city council member to be ex officio with them, much like the library planning project went for the design committee for the library, and Christine and I both sat on the design committee for the new library. So it's a similar model in that regard, and it worked very well, where people contributed their ideas and were sounding boards for the planning. So the drawings that were shown at the city council meeting are very preliminary in their design. They look very professional because an architect drew them. They look really pretty, but they're going to be modified in many ways before the project is finalized. And so you can see the video from that meeting of mayor and city council to get more information about that. And then the teen librarian and her team of Roots and Shoots went to the beach on Saturday, March 19th, to do cleanup. And future activities are going to be coordinated with Kay and with Janet. That's one of their volunteer activities to work around the community. They do some plantings, and then they're also going to be doing future beach cleanups. So they were very excited to be there. It was a beautiful day, and they collected several bags of trash to make the beach more beautiful. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. And Kay, if you want to talk and continue that with the talk of the beaches?
All right, thank you. Well, as Candace was saying, Saturday certainly was beautiful. The beaches were busy. Everyone was enjoying themselves. The one thing I did notice is that there was a fair amount of scour when you look at, if you're on the beach and you look at the snack shack, the other side this year is scoured. Last year, it was heaped up. This year, it's scoured. And the bench adjacent to that, which I think is a dedicated bench, is really at an angle. But it's on a huge concrete pad. And that's going to take some work and equipment, I think, in order to get that seated correctly. But most of the benches were in use. There were a lot of people at the beach, and that was a terrific start, early start to the season. I did meet with Ms. Trina Brown Hicks. We met on March 5th, and talking about working on a kiosk sign for the Johnny Walker Beach. And my assignment is to find a photograph of Johnny Walker. This is not easy. So I have been leaving messages at the church that he attended at the Masonic Lodge that he was a member. And I'm now going to tackle, hopefully tomorrow in my lunch hour, Sussex Trust, try and find where the historic documents are for Sussex Trust, since he was on the board. And I'm hoping then they would have a photo that we could get permission to use on the sign. I'm dying to know what he looked like. Spent a lot of time thinking about him and talking about him, but we're working on some of those kinds of things. So we'll see where that leads us. So now I think we're going to have a very strong cleanup, hopefully year-round projects between Roots and Shoots. Christine suggested working with the Surf Rider Foundation. I know some people who are members. I think that's a very good idea. I've went to the meetings with Tony Pratt as well to get on his radar so that we can talk about dune preservation and work on that, and also with DENREC's Adopt a Beach cleanup. So I'm going to try and have kind of year-round, maybe once a month, somebody formally going out and cleaning the beach. And I think that will benefit everyone, and we'll just keep everything much, much nicer. So I'm going to get cracking on that kind of scheduling so that we can always have somebody out there. So that is where I am at the moment. And then we'll see where the budget leads us as well.
Yes, that I should have been adopted tonight, so we'll run home and watch Zoom.
See what happens.
I will keep you all informed. Julian, do we have perhaps Judy Jeffers in the Zoom chat?
I have an Elizabeth Enos and a number with no name.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that concludes the park updates, and we can move on to old business. Item D1 is presentation, discussion, and possible action on the revised recreational activities policy. This was first brought up at our January 2022 meeting. We had a policy that was approved by Mayor and City Council back in March of 2018. It expired in May of 2018, and it did not get revisited, yet we were still issuing recreational permits. So it was time for the commission to take a look at that. So at the January meeting, a subcommittee was appointed, and the subcommittee worked quickly and diligently, with a lot of discussion. And so what you should have in front of you, or had an opportunity to look at prior to the meeting, is the draft revised policy. So I will open it up for discussion. The policy really allows the city to manage its resources, the parks and the beaches, while providing amenities for our residents and visitors to the city. So I will lay that groundwork that, that's the purpose of the policy. So I open it for discussion.
I just like to sort of preface the discussion of this by reminding us that our Recreation and Parks Department or Board does not have a programmatic function. We have facilities and parks, so we don't program it with activities. And the vendors that this policy is for is, I think the purpose of this is to control that activity and make sure it's conducive to the kind of activities that we want to encourage in the park, as well as satisfy a need, a recreational need, whether it's for kayaks or yoga classes or whatever it is. So I think we all ought to keep that in mind and know, even though people are charging for things, and people could make a lot of money on activities, in most cases, most of these program type activities, people are not making a lot of money. They're making a living by it. And it's providing, in most cases, a service to the citizens of Lewis in terms of program or recreational activities. I just want to preface this discussion so that we understand that we're not doing programming as a city.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to do that, that's another whole discussion. That's another whole person that you would have to hire to manage all that. And anyway, so I think it's important for us to keep that in mind as we discuss how we control the activity in the park.
That's what your purpose says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Could you go over what the fees are for permits so we can all understand them?
That are proposed here?
Yes, that are proposed.
I'd like to know what the current ones are now,
Okay.
and then the proposed ones.
Okay. So from the initial policy, a seasonal flat rate of $100 was the fee that an organization, a business would pay for providing a recreational activity in the park or the beaches. In researching this in preparation for the policy revision, I went back to 2018 and each year looked at the number of permits that were issued and the number of days per week that a business was operating in a park or on the beach. Hopefully I have it. I do.
Page 3 is quite clear on everything, everyone has page.
Right, yep, I'll go over how we got there. In 2018, we had 4 businesses conducting recreational activities on the beach. 3 of them were Monday through Friday, and 1 was once a month. In 2019, we had 3 commercial recreational activities on the beach. One was Monday through Friday from June to August. One was Saturdays, 3 Saturdays for the whole season. And the third was June to September, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In 2020, we had 4 businesses providing recreational activities on the beaches or the parks. One was Monday through Saturday, June through September. One was Monday and Friday, September through November. One was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, June to September. And one was 3 days total in August, September. In 2021, we had 7 businesses providing services. One was May through October, Monday through Saturday. One was Fridays, May through October. One was a total of 8 days between June and September. One was Monday through Friday, May through September. We had just 1 activity on the month of April for 1 business. Another business was May through October, just Saturday, weekly, and then another May to October, Tuesday and Friday. So I went through that exercise to demonstrate the variety of use and the fact that we are doing a flat rate. So when the committee met, part of the charge was to make the fees equitable based on use. So with that being said, if you turn to page 3 of the draft, you'll see the proposed seasonal fee schedule, where for the season being May 1 through September 30th, we didn't have a lot of activity in April, and it weans off in October, so we shortened the season. So a seasonal fee for a 1-day single use, for 1 day a week, or just a single use would be $100, and that's for the season. And then we went up incrementally by $50 based on the days. 2 days is $150, 3 days is $200, 4 days is $250, 5 days $300, 6 days $350, 7 days $400. And the committee felt that that was more equitable to the businesses, that and it wasn't, you know, looking at generating money, it was really looking at equity for the businesses. I think, you know, I had a difficult time finding comparisons from surrounding communities because it's not there. It's just not out there. I think there's one community, I think it's either, I think it might be Dewey, but don't quote me, and they charge $250, but I don't know what the details of it are, what the season is and the days of the week. So, so that's a little background on the fee structure. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. It does. I mean, and I know I participated in the committee, but I've been having second thoughts about raising the fees, especially for, well, the worst case is from $100 to $400 for the season. It seems to me that these activities are really, as you say, they're a benefit to the community. When you see the yoga out there in the morning or the evening or whenever they hold it and everybody enjoying it, it's a benefit to the community. It makes the parks I think, look more attractive and look more like successful parks. And I just wondered, we heard some people talking, they came and testified during our hearing, and said that, you know, a 400% increase is a significant increase. And I understand what we're trying to do in terms of having a fee match the amount of use that this entity would use the park, but it just seems to me like, why $400? It just seems like a big increase to me. And I would ask us all to just be aware of that, you know, as we get ready to vote on this thing.
Well, what would you suggest you would be more comfortable with?
Something less. I mean, to go into, I mean, this is kind of a, we all thought that we were going to try this and see how it worked out. I would hate to have a fee structure that would lessen these kinds of activities or discourage them in any way. What we should be doing is encouraging them to the point where we can manage them and we know what's going on. But some, you know, when the yoga, for example, is, my understanding is that it's not a fee to participate, it's a request for a donation. Some people do, some people don't. Yeah. And that the most people appear on weekends, which you would think you go out there and you see big crowds on weekends. During the week, it's still offered, but there are very, very few participants by comparison. So, and you know, does that mean that they're not going to be able to, because they pay the yoga instructors, does that mean that we're not going to have yoga available 6 days a week or 7 days a week? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I just want to make sure we're not going to do something that's going to cause that to happen.
Before we took on this undertaking, I did, back, I think it was last fall, look at the websites of the providers that had them. And the yoga was advertised as beach yoga or yoga in George H.P. Smith Park. Mm-hmm. And it was, they did say, I know what was reported last week, but they did say that it was a $20 fee.
Every time?
Yep. So not all of them do. There's one fitness group that they would allow their members to come and participate in the beach fitness, group fitness for, you know, without an extra charge. But if they weren't a member of the gym, it was a minimal $5 fee. Another yoga group was charging $20 or $10. So they are charging, and it's, you know, what they're charging for their recreational services is kind of, there's a range. And that's not something that, you know, the commission, of course, can control. They set their rates.
Right.
So.
Well, I think there's two things. You don't want to discourage the activity, and you don't want it to be a financial burden to the vendor so that they can't afford to make, you know, at least somewhat of a profit to pay their employees, or maybe I shouldn't say profit. I think, in my mind, maybe you ought to cap it off at 4 or 5 days, and then, you know, then you're not going up, cap it off at 4 days.
Or another alternative.
What's that?
Another alternative would be, instead of having it a $50 jump for each number of days, it could be something quite a bit less, a $10 jump or whatever. Pick another.
25 or whatever.
I mean, we're not doing it to earn any income for the city. It's just, I think it's just a remuneration that makes sure that they're interested and make a commitment, because they're going to spend some money to have this opportunity for them. Am I right about that? I mean,
Control the activity, I think. It gives us a way to.
Right. Yeah, and so, you know, when we decide, well, how much is enough, I'm having a hard time getting my arms wrapped around that, frankly. But to jump to a 400% increase seems to be a bit arbitrary and capricious to me.
Candace?
If I understand, we're looking at 5 months for the season.
Correct.
And if we're looking at 7 days, if they're having these classes each and every day, then what you're charging the vendor is $2.66 for the use of a park for each session.
Doesn't
And-
seem like much that way, does it?
No, and then I mean, rental space, if you were to have a studio, a piece of real estate that you're renting, I dare say we wouldn't find $2.66 per day for a rental. And if you're charging $20 a person for a class, you know, then this does not seem like an exorbitant amount for use of a park when there's also the business development advantage of them using the parks as a lost leader for other activities that they sell from their studio. So there are other businesses, their websites show them selling trips and other things to go participate in yoga trips and other things like that. So this is an opportunity for them to experience the yoga and then perhaps buy other services from this business. So as a former business person, I look at this as a business development opportunity that they are paying next to nothing for in a city park. I think that should be kind of looked at as well, not only what they're providing to the public.
But it's an activity we want to encourage.
I agree.
So it comes down to, you know, are we creating a disincentive? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Based
Based on the fee structure that they seem to be charging, I don't know that $2.66 per day would be
They don't get every day because it rains and so on, but you're
True.
right. I mean, it's not, if you break it down that way, it's not a lot of money
Right.
on their part. And what they'd have to do is change their business model a little bit to come up with the extra $300. Just seems like a big jump to me in one
So
swoop.
it appears from the examples you gave that there's 2 vendors that would anticipate $400. Is that right? It said there's, of the 7 in 2021,
Yep.
one was Monday through Friday, one Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, in 2020, there was a Monday through Saturday, and in 2021, it was Monday through Saturday, so they would hit the 350.
So when would this kick in? Have people started applying for permits yet?
I've had 2 people request permits, and I've put them on hold because the committee was reviewing the policy. So and this obviously will have to go to mayor and council for approval as well. So I have told them that I won't be issuing anything until mid-April at best. So, but I think that this discussion is obviously long overdue, and we really shouldn't have been from 2018 until now, you know, issuing permits. So, trying to get everything on track and make sure that we're doing things, you know, transparently, and that the policy is out there. Harry?
I just want to talk about the benefits that we're offering a business. We're offering them a clean beach. We're offering them a dedicated area that they won't be crowded out. We're offering them free parking. And those are assets for any business. And I'm sure they're busier on the weekends, and I'm sure they're busier at the height of season. That's just the way it works at the beach. And to go back to Rodney, when people come down here for the weekends, they're always looking for something to do. And it's a great way to start the day. We heard testimony about that. There's no argument at all. I just felt that we need not monetize, but control, because you can't have 3 groups you can't have somebody doing beach exercise right next to beach yoga. So you have to parse it out, you have to look into it. Everything has to be done properly. And I don't see a problem with the fee rate.
Thank you.
And we also removed April as a pay. So if the weather's nice enough, they can do it in April for free. Is that correct?
Well,
Can you still utilize the beach prior to May 1st for any of these activities, organized activities, with
Well,
25% participants or less?
it's intended to control, so, and manage what's going on the beach. So for commercial recreational activities, the season would be May to September. So there shouldn't be any commercial recreational activity on the beach outside of that time.
Does anybody think that's going on? I mean, prior,
I have to say, I haven't seen it.
no.
I mean, I'm still
The
working.
weather's not been warm yet, so.
Well, and I'm still working, so I'm not free to be there every day. And the other thing that this is all part of is that push and pull between citizens and visitors, residents and visitors, and I think, those who want to be, like Saturday, it was quiet. Everybody got to the beach and just sat there. You had no idea there were that many people there until you turned around and looked and realized the parking lot's full. It's quiet. So there's people want a different experience. So and yet also people want to come and do organized activities. So it's just trying to hit everybody's sweet spot and be gatekeepers of understanding what people want. So that's what this is an attempt at. I can't say I haven't seen regular classes. I suspect every once in a while I'll see a class that people are like, you know what, let's go outside and do this. I might do that and not think at all about getting a permit or anything like that. But I haven't seen anything regular.
Yes, so my question is are we going to now disallow that activity in the month of April?
That's the draft proposal.
That's the way I read it.
Yeah, that's the draft proposal.
Was there a reason for that?
Looking at the other things that are allowed seasonally factored into it, there wasn't really.
There wasn't interest, was there?
Any pushback on that from the committee. We had, in 4 years, one group went April to October, and coincidentally, they never came back for another permit. And then there was a one-time, a single use in April of 2022, and that was because there was a full moon. It was a full moon activity. And those were the only 2 things that we had in April. So again, it would speak to balancing and managing the services and the use of the commercial uses of the parks and beaches.
And I think, too, we're trying to figure out, because there was a time when some things were Memorial Day to Labor Day, some things were May 1st to Labor Day, so, fishing was this and that. It's just, what are the rules? What is the time that is the most used by the public. And basically, it has to do with water temperature, air temperature. And October can be iffy. You can definitely swim through mid-October, at least comfortably. So I think we're trying to figure out, too, what is a good overall time frame that you can kind of depend on. This is the rule. It's May 2nd, this is the rule. That would be helpful.
Was it just,
Well-
I mean, I just can't get my arm around why we're taking away a month.
Because no one asked for it. No one really wanted
Yeah,
it.
Nobody,
Yeah, so it doesn't cost us anything, other than administratively, the timeline of you to get the permits
well,
out.
as the person that manages, will be managing this, as Kay said, there are different seasons, right? The marina is April to November. Boats don't come in until pretty much May. You might get a transient coming through. The beach concession at Roosevelt Inlet is May 1 to September 30th. That's really, that's a commercial business, right? And so I equate that with recreational activities. So keeping those commercial ventures on the beach the same. Parking meters go on May 1st, and they end September 30th at the beaches. Again, there's consistency in that season. They're longer in town, in the city. They go until mid-October. But at the beaches, they start and end, same time that we're proposing in this policy. So from an administrative perspective, it becomes a tool to manage.
So that was the administrative, just to get consistent administrative oversight.
Because what's happening on the beach, that's commercial, either for those businesses or it's revenue for the city via parking meters, that's all May 1 to September 30th.
I guess if we found a great need we could always amend the policy. And if we found that for some reason,
It's
some
just-
activity wants to
Right.
operate in April, I mean,
It's just not there yet. I'm not seeing it, in a study of 4 years, so.
And no matter what, I would like to revisit this policy after September 30th to see what works and what didn't. Because I think some of this we're going to have to try and then see if this was successful or people found it too much and defeating, because we don't want to defeat anyone.
Right.
So I think we need to have a discussion in the fall, maybe at our October meeting, and see how it's gone.
Do a pilot.
Well,
Yes.
and I think, certainly, when I speak with council, I can ask for a temporary for this season, so we can go back and revisit it again. So I think that's because it is a big change. We are making some significant changes in that, the fee structure is quite different, the season is different. So, certainly, Harry?
I think when we were meeting in the subcommittee, one of the reasons we graduated the scale was there are some groups that want to come in here for one day.
Right.
And they were paying the same price as the people that were coming in for 7 days.
Correct.
And we were trying to,
make it equitable.
yes, thank you.
Correct.
Well, I'll just add that, I've been talking to the Friends of Canal Front Park who offer the yoga, and it's the same yoga company that is on the beach during the rest of the week. and they're very, very happy to have them there on the Sunday. They also do another kind of yoga in the evening. It's very, very popular. I think the Friends, they like it because it gets people in the park. And anything to discourage that activity or the opportunity for that activity, they're not happy with that. So, it's a question, is this going to do that?
So this policy does not apply to activities that are scheduled through the Friends of Canal Front Park. So essentially, it doesn't impact them. That's on page 3.
Yeah.
So
the yoga, what you're telling me, I think, is that the yoga company, and it is a company, it's a business, comes in and offers the yoga on Sunday. They don't need to have this permit.
that was put in the original temporary policy. I left it in. The Friends do a lot of great things for Canal Front Park. They sponsor the movies, the concerts, they do the Zumba, and they do the yoga in the park, and that's through the Friends. So this does not pertain to them. If it's sponsored through the Friends. Now, if another group came in and wanted to do something on another day, they'd be, unless it was through the Friends, they'd be subject to the policy. So, additional discussion? Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the plan for this year on a temporary basis as written.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Candace. Do we want to do a roll call? Or? All right, so we have a motion and a second, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you.
Only because of the April.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
No, really. No, because we're telling people now, they cannot, in the April, if we have a warm stream, they cannot do this during the month of April. And I just,
Well, no, I understand, and that's one of the things that we'll come back and look at and revisit at the end of the season. Okay, so.
Excuse me, Janet.
Yes.
It's Jackie.
Hi, Jack.
I heard Rodney say no. I didn't hear who else.
Oh, I'm sorry,
it was me.
It
Sorry.
was Ed.
Ed Tessine.
Ed, okay.
Yep,
So it's just Rodney and Ed.
correct,
It said no. Okay.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion carries. I will move this forward to mayor and council for their April meeting, and if we have a policy, we'll move forward and do it on a, as a temporary policy, and we'll revisit it and see where we're at.
Yep, good.
Okay? Let's see. So that brings us to the end. We have no new business. It is, what time? 7:42. Are there any other comments, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Ed and Rodney. We are adjourned, and we'll see you in April.
Thank you, everyone.
April 18th. Yep, thank you.
What?
Thank you all for the discussion.
I will scan these beautiful drawings. I got a chance to look at them, they're lovely. And then I'll get these originals back to you.
No.
That's why we're
Right.
I'm going to be very careful, but I'll still be careful.
I'll give you sign an autograph copy.
You're the one that wants to love it. Yeah, we love it.
Never have a greater day to start to work
Plug these
with
into
everybody's
charts,
just to
so I can
understand.
modify them.
Right,
I'll
right.
think about it.